Well, James, it started with Illinois, and now there are 11 states considering legislation to ban interchange on sales tax and tips.
Wow.
Lawmakers in 10 other states have effectively scuttled bills aimed at banning it, but this is really catching on. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's like the merchants felt like, okay, we're not making enough progress on the national level, so
Right.
let's go down one level.
Right. Yeah, and it's crazy too because to me I'm like um I just don't understand like where are the lobbyists and I'm at ETA Transact right now. Like where
Right,
aren't we
right.
educating these lawmakers on how bad of an idea this is?
And I reached out to the ETA myself, right? And I
Yeah.
said, "Hey, can you talk to me about this?" Well, we're really leery about talking to the press about it. Let me just feel it out. I'm like, "Are you crazy?" I
Right.
mean,
Right.
that's the only way it's going to get out is through people like me,
Right.
you know, that are
Right.
going to be blasting it out to everybody.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that I think it's going to backfire. I think it could. I think this has feet.
Well, and again, what's going to happen is very simple. So for those who maybe don't understand this, maybe we should clarify. So the idea is there's these laws state by state saying that you are not allowed to charge tax on tips or on interchange fees. And the problem is that currently there is no infrastructure for separating this part of the fee of this part of the transaction.
Right,
No, because it's like you charge sales tax on the entire amount. So
right.
how do you split off the interchange and not charge sales tax on it? So what's going to happen, Patty, I think, is the same thing that happened with the Durbin Amendment and everything else, which is it's going to go into litigation because they passed it, and then all the companies are all going to say, well, we can't do it. So
Yeah,
it's an impossible thing, right? So
right.
it's going to drag on for 10 years, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. But I do think it's interesting that there's nobody in the states lobbying,
Right.
or nobody on the national level lobbying the states.
Right.
Yeah,
They really
yeah.
should be. All right, so that's story number one. I think we have three today. What's our second one?
Okay. The second one is okay. As you may have heard, with the stroke of a sharpie, President Trump has put the kibosh on paper checks for the federal government. Right
I actually did not
now,
know about this.
oh, I thought you might have heard about this.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't. Okay.
yeah. Okay. So, there's a few exceptions. Individuals without banking or electronic access. That's about 3 to 4% of the population. Emergency payments, like let's say there's a flood or a tornado and we got to get money out real quick. That's an and law enforcement, which of course you try to catch somebody in a sting, you know.
Oh,
So
right. Right. Sure.
let's use the checks instead.
Okay.
Okay, so I started thinking about this. It's like, okay, federal government's not doing checks. That means like that's a lot of impetus for corporations not to do checks, right?
For sure.
So I was reading this article on payments.com, pymnts.com.
Yep.
Holly Tennant, I've known Holly for years. She's a old ACH person I used to know.
Yeah.
She's director of B2B payments automation and product management at B of A.
Okay.
And she drew a parallel between AP automation and consumer convenience trends. Okay, she
Okay.
said the same thing. Instant and digital solutions have revolutionized retail and grocery shopping. You know how we now go. I'm sure I don't know you. I know you don't do your shopping, but I do my shopping, and I have not been inside of a Walmart in 3 years.
Right.
I I do my online shopping. They come, I pull up, they put it in my car. Right? There's that
Right.
convenience.
Right.
And so what Holly is saying is the same concept applies to payments automation. The technology is there, but the adoption process is still lagging.
Right.
And I think what's going to happen is these new younger people that are coming up through the ranks
Right.
who have lived on digital
Right.
are just not going to put up with it.
Right.
And I think that's where it's going to come down. I mean, there's always going to be some checks,
Right. Right.
but I think that you have the federal government and then you have these young people. Like, I mean, I have a niece she's my great niece, who does work for me, and her ex-boyfriend do work for me.
Right.
They are like, can you Venmo me that money, Aunt Patty?
Right. Right. They don't,
Right?
yeah, they don't.
But yet I have an
Right.
oil company that brings me oil, and they're like, can you write us a check?
Right.
I don't know. Can I find my checkbook? You
Right. Exactly.
know?
Yeah. I had a
uh,
really interesting meeting yesterday, Patty. I was talking about, one of the things I'm envisioning for full stack payments that we're building out right now is like we're going to have the mobile app for the merchants where, for any of our merchants, they'll be able to have the mobile app where they can just do the tap on phone. You know
all
what I mean?
right.
Like
Sure.
there's so many things like that that I think are these disruptive technologies that I really think that even like 24 months from now, I just really believe that most merchants are going to have a way just like right on their phone without even an extra device or anything to be able to take a payment. I actually
Yeah.
think that's one of the most disruptive technologies right now that's going to have a big impact is just that ability to say, we all have a phone in our pocket and every merchant should have the ability to just do a tap on phone and be done with it, right?
I
So,
mean, I think the tap on phone is so cool, especially when you look at like farmers markets, craft fairs, things
right,
like that, right?
right,
I
right.
mean, you're standing there, tap it, I'm out of here,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean, that's I think I agree with you. I think tap on phone is going to be the most disruptive thing we have going yet.
Hmm. What's our third story for today, Patty?
Okay, this is a brief one, but it's an interesting one. Mobile wallets and payment apps have it's sort of like different favoritisms for different uses. Okay, so diners, this is a company called Onbe, which is does it's a disbursement platform. They did a
Right,
survey
right.
and they found diners visiting fast casual restaurants, think Chipotle,
Sure.
uh, Five Guys, are more likely to use a mobile wallet to pay than a payment app.
Hmm.
Ditto for like fuel, in-person shopping, entertainment venues, right? But payment apps, on the other hand, are more favored for payments between friends, online shoppers, and paying service providers. Think your lawn maintenance guys, your babysitters,
Right.
right?
Sure.
So, um, and then they also found that mobile wallet use in most age groups increased in 2024.
Hmm.
Okay, between the 18 and 24-year-olds, um, went from 26% to 44% in one,
Yeah.
weekly usage. Among the 25 to 34 age group, it went from 37 to 44. And among your generation, it went from 37 to
Hmm.
45% that use it
Wow.
at least once a week. That's pretty significant. I'm sure you're above that average.
Yeah, I am. But one of the things that you said that again, it's funny because I keep in my mind, I'm going back to this tap on phone thing. I actually think that a big part of this, like our industry, we are losing volume right now to obviously you have the DoorDash and Uber Eats, that whole thing, right? The
Right,
distribution. But then you also do have this whole thing of the P2P, and it wasn't really designed for business. But again, I think what's happened is we've made it so hard for these landscapers and stuff. I don't think that the reason they're doing Venmo is to avoid the fee. I think the reason they're doing Venmo is because it's easy.
oh,
And
exactly,
I mean,
exactly. I mean, yeah, I talked to my niece and she, I gave her the Venmo. I'm driving her home and she's already transferring it to her debit card, right? I'm like,
it's made it
honey,
easy. And I think our
yeah,
industry, as far as like the acquiring side, we need to make it equally as easy for these businesses to accept cards, again, from their phone. That to me, that's the common denominator is like, what the more I've thought about our industry, it's like the thing that's archaic about our industry right now is that our industry isn't centered around the phone yet.
right,
And it should be
and it
because
should be
everything else is centered around the phone. Like, and so
right,
what's again, I think Cash App, Venmo, all that. I think, of course, the friend to friend thing makes total sense to me. That's what it should be. It should be P2P.
right, right.
But the landscaper, like, no, the landscaper should have some kind of software to manage clients and make sure who paid and who didn't pay. They shouldn't be doing
Of
that on Venmo. That's
course,
annoying. But they
of
need a way to
course.
be able to make that payment via tap on phone. That's the key.
Yeah, and for example, I do PayPal for several of my service providers, right? Again, and I do it as a, not as a business, as an individual, so they don't have to pay the fee,
Right.
right? But again, if we had tap on phone for that,
Yep.
yeah, And the thing is, to me, I don't have my phone right here because I put it aside so it wouldn't ring in the middle of our conversation.
Right.
But for me, it's like, that's like having a wallet and a phone in your pocket,
Right. Yes.
right? I mean,
Yeah. A legit.
and that's what
Yeah, it's a digital wallet. I mean, that's literally what it is, right?
that's literally what it is, and that's what people have been talking about. I mean, for years, people have been saying to me, see this phone. This is going to be your wallet one day.
Right.
Well, it should be our wallet right now.
Right.
I should not be carrying a wallet around.
And the only reason it's not is that there is still a significant percentage of businesses that accept payment who do not accept payment on the phone in a convenient way. So,
Right,
and again,
right,
a lot of that is that kind of card not present situation, where you need to have that like text to pay, you need to have
right.
that tap on phone, all of those kind of that omni-channel experience needs to be seamless, needs to be easy. And so I think we're going to see that. I mean, I know I'm very passionate about bringing that to the industry, and I think I know a lot of other people are as well. And so I think we'll start to see more of that innovation around omni-channel and really giving merchants that seamless solution that they want.
You know where I think it's going to be really where it's going to come to the forefront is when you can do it at the grocery store,
Yeah. Yeah.
or the bodega, right?
Right.
Because that's where everything starts. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
because
And
everybody
like,
has to
well, the
do
nice thing
that.
is, at least in those situations, a lot of them now are taking Apple Pay, Google Wallet. So at least you can pay with your phone in that way, right?
Right. And at least you can tap your card.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we have some of that, but again, I think a lot of it is more the card not present environment where that's where it's where again where it could be card present, but it's card
Sure.
not present only because we're not giving a card present device, and you're
Right.
having that phone, it's like card present is going to be expanded significantly. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Pat, this has been really fun doing our first version of this today in payment. So this is really
Yeah.
cool, giving everybody the up-to-date version of here's what's happening in the industry. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do all the research and figure out what's happening. And so thanks for keeping us in the loop.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to doing it next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Patty.
Okay.